Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Join us Friday, April 24th through Sunday, April 26th for our first homestand of the season and our 5th anniversary celebration. Score big with $5 tickets. Grab $5 domestic draft beers. Enjoy $5 popcorn. And yes, 2 Nathan's hot dogs for just $5. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Peter King is, well, I always say King Giuliani, Giuliani King, and whichever order you want to do it. Since I'm alive and I just turned 59, they're the best politicians I've seen in New York. Pete was a valued congressman for almost 4 decades and Homeland Security, and now he's on this station, and he's really smart, and he's a Met fan. He knows everything about everything. We love Pete King. So, Pete, welcome back. How are you?
I don't know. I've been waiting now on hold for 25 minutes. Remind me of the days when you and Imus and Bernard and Charles would be talking away, and I'd be sitting in Washington waiting for you guys to let me on. So I thought
That's funny.
I thought I was back in the past.
That's funny.
Imus is doing it to me again, you know.
Yeah. How many years, now that you said that, I mean, clearly you and I must have met there. I often forget where I meet people, but like you and Bo, that all started on Imus. And I tell people when I got basically excommunicated and had to work in Florida for the better part of a decade, even more, that you and Bo, you guys came on my shows in Miami. That meant a lot to me getting back here to New York, so I'll always love you for that. But how many years were you on the Imus show?
I guess I come on like in the mid-'90s, I think, when I was in Congress. I elected to Congress in 92, and I'd say within the first year or two I was on with Imus. I'd be on, I don't know, once or twice a month, I guess.
Wow.
The best part of that was Bernie would call me first. Because, you know, then you couldn't, down in Washington, you couldn't hear what was being said in New York. There was none of this, you know, with the radios. So
right.
Bernie would tell me what Imus was mad about or what he might attack me on and all of that. Was good.
Yeah.
He would put into the phone. You know, then they get on with Imus. He'd not call me a crook or a thief or something, you know, and we go from there, you know.
Crook or a thief. He was great with that, Bernard. The guy that always tells the same story you just did is Phil Simms. Phil Simms, a great quarterback for the Giants. Him and Jim Nantz had recurring roles on Imus, and Phil would call in and he would say, Bernie, what kind of mood is the I-Man in today? And Bernie would say, well, take a guess, Phil. You know, what do you think, Phil? And he's like, oh, my God, with his Kentucky drawl, you know. But it was all part of the fun, and, you know, I still say to everybody that cares that nobody had a bigger influence on my career and what I do than Imus. So talking to his kid was real cool. And Wyatt is now 27 years old, and
wow.
He's making a great living, and he's about to get married, and Deirdre's doing terrific, too. So that's all good stuff. I can tell you the Imuses are doing much better right now than I think we are in Iran. You know, it depends who you talk to. But,
right.
You know, I speak to people on the inside. I've got some people in and around Trump who love Trump like I do. They love him. And they're very frustrated. They're like, what are we doing here? What's going on? What is the end game? What is the finish? Why do we keep stopping with these ceasefires and these extensions? Why don't we just finish the job? And I'm hearing more and more of that, Peter, from people that are around the president a lot.
You know, I'm not saying this to be critical because I supported going into Iran. I still do. But I think the president, a mistake he may have made early on was somehow thinking this is going to be a quick war. It's going to be over in a few days. It's going to be an unconditional surrender. And you have to condition the American people to say, listen, we are doing this because we don't want you or your children or grandchildren blown apart by nuclear weapons. And sometime this war has to be fought. We're doing it now, but it's not going to be easy. So if you have to pay an extra $1.50 for gas for a few months to save lives later on, we have to do it. Now, that wasn't done. It was sort of implied the war would be over in a few weeks. So now the American people are not on his side with the war. I mean, to be this early in the war and have 55, 60% of the people against it, it's dangerous to be in, and Iran knows that. They also say the way the media is piling on the president, and they just feel they can wait him out. And also, you know, this is not a real estate deal. You know, you'd Witkoff over there negotiating, but you're up against ideologues. These guys, this is not like Russia or China or even North Korea where those leaders want to live. These guys don't care if they die. This is totally different from really any other war we've been in. So it's not like you can, devastate their infrastructure where you can knock out their leadership and somehow they're going to surrender or they're going to make a deal. And a deal even implies that these guys are rational. They're not. So this, to me, is a long haul, and I don't think we can do that now with the long haul. I think Iran feels they can wait us out. They can take an almost infinite amount of punishment. So we have to get the straits open. We have to get something on the nuclear weapons, or the enrichment of the uranium,
right.
and try and go for it. It's not going to be easy now, but we can't. This is not a game that Donald Trump is playing. He's doing the right thing by being there, but we have to. I think he's going to have to somehow, limit the goals right now, and it has to come out ahead. But it's not going to be the victory that I think we could have had.
No, because, he's wiped out a whole bunch of leaders there, him and Israel, no question about it. Nice joint effort by Trump and Bibi. But they still have IRGC leadership. So what good is it? Yeah, they killed a lot of people. We did. We killed a lot of people. We killed a lot. And we blew up a lot of stuff. And we certainly hurt their nuclear weapons making going forward. There's no question, even dating back to Midnight Hammer back over the summer. But if we leave now with the IRGC still in charge, right, not Khomeini, but the IRGC still in charge, then we're not that far away from Iran being right back where they were a year ago. No?
Not really. I think the weapons have been probably knocked back at least 5 to 10 years. I would think. I mean, I'm not there anymore.
Well, I got to tell you, I saw a report from NBC last night that said that Pete Hegseth is basically lying, that Iran still has a arsenal, a huge amount of weapons. That's what NBC said last night. And I keep seeing these crazy stories about Russian submarines arriving in Iran with more weaponry. I don't know if any of that is true, but NBC did report last night that according to a very, very solid Pentagon source, that Iran's weaponry is still very high, not nearly the percentage that the administration is trying to sell us that is now gone.
Well, I have a lot of faith in General Kane, and he gives much better numbers than that. If I had to choose between General Kane and NBC, I would go with General Kane. Also, I'm sure there's people in the Pentagon who hate Pete Hegseth, who dislike President Trump, and I can see them leaking that stuff to NBC. You can play with numbers any way you want, but I would think, again, I have a lot of faith in General Kane. Whether the numbers are that good or not, I don't know, but it's certainly much better than when this war started.
I had our mutual friend Anthony D'Esposito, Peter, on this show a couple of days ago, and you were the first on this show to say he's not running again, and you're right. You know your stuff. He has decided to stay as President Trump's Inspector General for the Labor Department. He's doing a tremendous job, Anthony, uncovering billions of dollars like Lee Zeldin is doing at the EPA. Maybe that's why Lee stays there and Harmeet Dillon replaces Todd Blanche. I don't know, but Anthony did admit on this show publicly a couple of days ago he is not going to run for Congress again. So it's great news for Anthony that he's doing so well and Trump still wants him. But I'm not sure it's great news for Congress that Laura Gillen looks like may have another win. Although you like this lady Driscoll, she'll be taking on Gillen next time around, yes?
Yeah, Janine Driscoll's going to be a great candidate. Listen, always wanted Anthony to run. He couldn't do it. But Janine Driscoll is a first-rate candidate. She's been in elective office in Nassau County for a number of years. She's a Fordham Law School graduate. She's active in the community. She handles herself very well, very articulate. She's smart. And she's going to give Laura Gillen more than a run for money. She's going to take her out. I mean, Janine is ready to go. I've been with her the last few days. Joe Cairo had a massive event last night at the Garden City Hotel. She gave a great speech. She really roused the crowd. So, no, Janine is going to do a terrific job in the campaign. People have to get behind her, and they have to realize that, first of all, even under the worst of circumstances, this is a 5 or 6 point race. You put a good Republican candidate. We have a great Republican candidate in there. She's going to win, but we got to get behind her. I can't have some Republican somewhere finding something she said 8 years ago they may disagree with or not. We have to get together as a party and stand with her. Anthony, I know, is strongly for her. Joe Cairo is strongly for her. Bruce Blakeman was with her last night. Bruce and I were with Janine sitting at the table with her. Now, she's going to do a great campaign. And we have Michael Petru, we have Nicola Loda. I mean, Long Island has good members of Congress running. And but we have to get rid of this defeatist attitude, and we got to get out front arguing why it's been such a great achievement by the president and with the Republican Congress, and just get their act together.
Yeah, tell Driscoll to I'll put her on, so I'll help her try to win this race. You mentioned LePetri. He's running against Tom Suozzi again. I like Mike a lot. He's been in the studio a couple times this campaign and the last one. He'll be back. So Lolita, Garbarino, are they all running again?
Oh, yeah, Garbarino's definitely running. Yeah, Mike Andrew is the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, vitally important to New York and Long Island. Lalota is running, and again, Michael Petrie is running. The last time around, I mean, actually very little attention was focused on his race. All of our attention was on Anthony. And Mike came within like 2 points of winning. So now he's been getting geared up for this now for the last 6 to 8 months. The party is totally behind him. He's running strong. So that's a real strong possibility for us, maybe a probability. And Janine, she's getting in the race late, but still, I mean, in the first year that I ran, I didn't get into July because we had a whole reapportionment fight going on in New York, and the districts weren't drawn. And I ended up winning. So no, she not only can do it, she's going to do it. And she's a tough fighter, strong woman, a very gifted attorney, very popular local elected official. So no, she's going to do it. But again, people have to get behind her.
And is Mazi Pilip running for anything this time around?
Yes, actually, she's running for re-election to the county legislature. She was elected along with the other legislators last year for a 2-year term, but the Democrats in Albany, they changed it from 2 year to 1 year because they figured that in the president and the gubernatorial year, they had a better chance of picking up those local seats. So Mazi has to run again. She'll do well. I've always said we had never won in the Great Neck area since the War of 1812. Mazi won, and she wins big every year. And the first time she ran, by the way, she had delivered twins 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, and she was out campaigning at the train station on election morning.
Wow. No, she's amazing. I love Mazi. I wish I was stronger. I always say this first time she ran against Swazi, but I've grown to love that woman. You were right about that, Pete. All right, Pete, we got to end it with this. 12 straight losses. Again, for me, it's not about the wins and losses. I've rooted for horrible Met teams that were managed by Joe Torre, teams from way back when that would lose 100 games. So it's not about wins and losses. But when you combine the fact that I hate the politics and they're too woke for me and they can't win, the Mets are a very difficult product to love these days, no?
Yeah, listen, I've been with the Mets since day one. I remember in the first year when they lost 120 games. So they were that was tough. You're sitting up in the polo grounds watching that. No, listen, they have not a good team, and I really blame Stearns for that. I mean, he traded away, he gutted the heart and soul of the Mets, got rid of guys like Alonso, Nimmo, McNeil. They let Diaz go. And so there's no core of the team. And Soto, even though he had a good numbers year last year, he was not really the soul of that team. Lindor is up and down. Again, the good players. But other than that, the guys who really kept the team going, well, especially Lindor and Nimmo. McNeil maybe slowed down a bit, but the other two are really going strong. So anyway, that was it. And there was no real need for it. It seemed like Stearns wanted to somehow create a team in his image. And maybe he has, unfortunately. And it's not doing well. I know you've gone over to the Yankees. I understand where you're coming from. But to me, they have to give some reason why they really let those good players go, and it looks bad. It really does. Yeah. So I'm not going to leave the Mets, but I have a hard time, really for the first time in 64 years, have a hard time getting excited. I really, even now, I watch the game for a few innings. Sometimes I don't watch it, and I don't know, maybe I'll even go and watch a Yankee game every now and then.
You don't care. I got to get Steve Cohen on and maybe answer some of those valid questions, Peter King, that you're raising and every Met man is raising. Maybe Cohen will stop by and give us some answers. At any rate, as always, you've got all the answers. You're great. Another fantastic appearance. And your friend Bruce Blakeman is coming up next. So Nassau County owns this hour. Peter King, thank you so much.
But Governor Blakeman, he's the man. You got it. Okay, Sid.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Love you. I love you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?